Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of Tech Niche Tips. I am your host, Joseph, and I'm so excited to have you on again for another Q&A. Now, these live conversations, these live interviews have been lit. I'm not going to lie. And so I love for all my LinkedIn family. I love for all my Facebook family, for the YouTube community. If you guys have any questions as we're talking, if you guys have any thoughts, man, I would love to kind of have you on this with me right now. And so I have my guests coming on. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit. There's a couple of things happening. For one, if you missed last week's episode, I did announce that as a channel family, the YouTube community, we have been able to surpass that 1,000 subscriber mark. And I was looking at when I started, and when I really started doing these interviews, when I really started reaching out to people and doing this, man, that was January 8th of this year. I thought it was like last year or something. No, it was January 8th. And so I think for the things that we've been talking about, it's been amazing to kind of see just everything grow. And I'm just really excited to just kind of be able to kind of talk about it. It's just wonderful. So if you haven't already, go ahead and go to the channel and subscribe. And another thing I want to add on top of that is there's something special that was happening this upcoming Monday. I have a panel of guests that are joining me to discuss tech bootcamp versus. That means basically one bootcamp versus another. And it's not in the sense of being combative. It's actually in the sense of creating dialogue to talk further about basically what it is that we were able to find in regards to the cost of each boot camp, the value, the support that we felt. We're going to talk about it all. And again, this is not to bash any particular boot camp. It's just to give people an option to kind of hear from students that have gone through it, hear honest feedback. We talk about the good, bad, and ugly of both boot camps. So you definitely want to be there for that conversation as we talk about that and more. So with that being said, I'm so glad that you have joined me on this conversation. I'm going to bring my guests on right now. She's going to be coming on in a moment. But before I do that, just drop in the comments section right now below. Where are you tuning in from? I'm always curious because it really kind of opens my eyes when I see, where people are coming in and looking in from. And so if it happens to be now or later, just let me know. I'm really excited to kind of find that out. But just put in the comments section where you're tuning in from. If you're tuning in from America or even internationally, I love to do that. But without further ado, I'm going to bring my guest on right now, and we're going to be talking about the power of networking, especially in the tech industry, the importance of it and the power of it. And so without further ado, I'm going to bring on my guest, and let's see if Ada ready. Yep, I'm going to bring her on, and we're going to have this conversation. Awesome. So, hey, how are you doing there? I'm so glad to have you on, Ada.
Hi, Joseph. Thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to delve in and just, do the work.
Yeah, that's great. And I'm always like I tell people this. I'm historically bad with names. How do you pronounce your first name? I just want to make sure I pronounce it correctly.
So my first name is Ada.
Ad,
Ada.
Ada. Ooh, I
I'm
think my
Nigerian by
Nigerian.
yes, by way of my parents.
Ooh, that's beautiful. So we gotta talk. Okay, I know we're talking about tech, but we gotta talk about the food. Who has the best jollof rice? Is it
Oh, Nigerians by far. I mean, that is not debatable at
ooh,
all.
oh my goodness. You got the Kenyans, everybody's gonna start fighting in here now. Uh put it in the description below. Who do you think has the best jollof rice? Because I mean, first of all,
Come on, y'all. Y'all know who to
the food.
pick. It's if it's not the jollof rice, it's the Afro beats. I
Oh,
mean, we come ready. Yes.
oh man, this is going to be exciting. So, with that being said, how I like to start these conversations is just to refresh those that are coming new. And oh wait, I got some people that actually tuned in here that says they're from Emporia, Kansas. Awesome. I see somebody from
Awesome.
Atlanta, Georgia that's tuning in. Oh, Scott, I see you as well. Operation Tech Takeover. All right, man. Peace and blessings, brother. Good to see you again, Scott. So yeah, no, I'm glad that everybody's tuning in. Feel free to share this as well. This is going to be a fun conversation. But those who are new to this, I want to kind of also say the format is the boots to the brain. Boots is symbolic of the journey Ada has, right? Did I say it right?
Yes.
Ah, pretty beautiful. That Ada has taken to get to where she is right now. And then the brain is symbolic of the mindset that one needs to have, not to only be where Ada is, but to also scale from there. So without further ado, let's just talk a little bit about your background. Where are you from? Where you born? I know you saw your parents were from Nigeria. Were you born in Nigeria as well?
Yeah, so I was born to two immigrant students who graduated from the University of Texas. Whoop whoop. And so my parents were college sweethearts. They met, they had three of us, I and two of my older brothers. And so we were born in Houston, Texas, and then my parents decided to move back to Nigeria, their home country. My dad had this, crazy dream of like going back and building hotels and restaurants, and just my mom also has a background in accounting, restaurant management, and hotel management. And so they had this vision, I guess more so my dad, and my mom was gonna ride along for the journey. And so they moved back when I was 2 years old to Nigeria. And so I was raised in Nigeria and came back at the age of 16, went to the University of Arizona, graduated from there, and a few years later moved down here to Texas. I knew I was always going to come back to Texas. It was just something magnetic about being here, not just because I was born here, but because of just it's a green land, it's flourishing, it's ever evolving, and it's a good place to not only advance your career, but also, to grow your business or just become a brand of your own. So I knew I was always going to come back.
Wow. That's amazing. So you started in Texas, you went back to Nigeria. I mean, it must have been not that big of a shock to you because you were so young, but can you talk about growing up in Nigeria for those who don't have a context of it? Like, how was life there versus in Texas?
So life in Nigeria was quite hard because somewhere along the line, when I was still very young, my dad passed away, and so my mom had to raise three of
Mm,
us, and just get along. And it was always that thing of, you guys are going to go back to America. You're American citizens. You are born there, so you go back. And so I had that in the back of my head that there was always going to be a time of reckoning, or like going back. So, but being raised in Nigeria and knowing like um going through the difficulties and knowing that it's like, dang, I could really dip out, um,
mm,
was quite tricky, just going to school, going to a military school,
mhm.
and having to wear uniforms, sometimes not having three square meals and stuff like that. But my mom really did strive to make sure that we had the best. And so I definitely credit her and God for just keeping us on course. We
Yeah,
went to church like 5 days a week, so that too.
I know that is all night prayer meetings.
Oh boy, you must know a thing about Nigerian churches.
I know a thing about churches, period. And so no, that is really really good. And first of all, I want to start by saying Happy Mother's Day to your mother. Tomorrow is
Yes.
Mother's Day, so all the mothers in the chat, Happy Mother's Day to you. If you're a mother, go ahead and put it
Yes.
down in the chat. Say thank you. If you are a mother, go ahead and lay it down in the chat. You can even put how many kids you want if you want to kind of make it a competition. I want to say that first, but also I want to say I know it's probably been years, but my condolences for the passing of your father. It really, when we lose somebody, it it's different over time, but it's not necessarily easy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to make sure I acknowledge those two things before we continue the conversation. Um, but yeah, absolutely. And so now let's talk a little bit. You move back to Texas, right? And you get into tech. Like, can you talk about your tech story, and then we're gonna talk a little bit more about other things. But very interested in how did you get into involve in the tech industry?
Awesome. So I got involved in the tech industry through mentorship, and I talk about I brag about mentorship to a lot of people, because mentorship is really another um, form. It's kind of like a branch of networking. And so that was how I got
Mm,
into tech. And honestly, um, just getting into tech was not always easy, I would say, but just being here now has really afforded me to use my brain power, and just transitioning from being in Arizona to
mm,
um, being in tech here in Texas. It's a little bit of a difference, but I definitely would say that just Texas is it. I think being in tech, working in tech in Texas, really is affords you opportunities to meet others as well. There's like, especially Dallas is so saturated with, you know, tech companies, tech professionals, tech events, and things of that nature. So, and also this year, I just kind of came to a moment of I guess maybe an epiphany of wanting to stretch beyond just um, enjoying the benefits of working in tech, but also helping others to cross over to bridge that gap, especially for women of color.
mm. Wow. Yeah. So it sounds to me that networking, mentorship, and networking, that basically is what got you to where you are right now in tech.
Yes.
Um, and I know that we're not going to really spend too much time on it, but currently, for people who don't not know, your role right now as a project manager, is that correct?
I'm sorry?
Your role in tech currently is like as a project manager, is that correct?
Yes. So
Okay,
I'm a project manager, but also off the clock too. I manage a lot of I've been able to work with a lot of creative projects, I would say, on social media.
nice, nice. And just to because people when they come to our channel here at Tech Niche Tips, they want to know like, okay, a little bit about the different aspects or what people can do in tech because some people are interested in tech sales, some people are interested in IT, digital marketing, some people want to be a sales engineer, solutions architect. List goes on and on. Really briefly, and then we'll move on. What would you say entails a job of a project manager? Because they are curious. I don't want to spend too much time, but just a little bit. What does a project manager do, and how could they get into a role like that?
Great. So, first of all, to become a solid and effective project manager, you have to have a certain set of skills, which is good, effective communication,
Yeah.
managing multiple tasks, being able to delegate and being a leader, having the mindset, an agile mindset, and just being able to negotiate between whether it be team members, stakeholders, the POs, like, product owners and things of that nature. So, as a project manager on a day to day, I'm able to do just that. I'm sorry.
You're
My
good.
screen blanked for a second. So, as a project manager on a day to day, I'm able to manage different parties. I would call myself a glorified middleman or middle woman, I guess I would say.
Yeah.
So, yeah, just a little bit about project management. So, if you know that you're the kind of person who you have the personality of delegating or being a leader, of managing multiple tasks, of overseeing planning, and different being able to be being adjustable in the working environment, then perhaps project management is there for you. But then there's other there's different aspects. Now, I'm not a technical project manager. I'm more on the operational functional side, and
Hmm.
so that suits my personality more. But when you come to more of a technical side, then you're looking more, delving more deeper into, the softwares and the tools and all of that. But project management is very broad, very, but I would say if you're a good planner, you're a good negotiator, you're a strategist, you're good with managing multiple teams, then yes, that could be a good fit for you.
Not to be inclusive, but when you said all those different things, and I'm thinking about tomorrow, I'm like, that defines a lot of mothers. Who-
Yes,
they
yes,
have to
yes,
they have
yes,
to manage teams, different
yes,
events. They have to they have to negotiate with the kids. Like, no, you cannot do this now. And then
yes.
I'm like, so mothers, if you're
You're
out
not
there,
a yes man, or a yes woman.
yeah,
I
ooh,
definitely I'm glad that you mentioned that because a lot of women are scared of, management,
mm,
but in the home as a role, even if you're not a mother yet, as a wife, as a woman, your mind is constantly thinking about details, documentation and keeping the schedule on track, all those different things, organization. So being able to manage a home is like a project on a larger capacity. So that's why I encourage women, especially women of color, get into project management, get into other tech roles, that are very operational, that you have the natural God-given skill to be successful at.
wow, 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 wow. So if you're listening, and I'm not trying to be too inclusive, so I'm only speaking to the ladies foremost right now because tomorrow's Mother's Day. But if you're interested in a tech background like this, and you kind of already have the transferable skills, then project management might be a thing you want to consider. And
Yes.
they might be asking, okay, I hear that I do take care of my household, but on paper, like what type of experience do I need to put down? Like, can I put down motherhood? Like what could I put down in order to be like to stand out in order for companies to take me seriously? I may not have a degree. I may have a degree. Like, what are the qualifications and experience or prerequisites?
I'm sorry, come again.
I would say, what are the qualifications or the
Hello, can you hear
prerequisites?
me?
Yep, I can hear you. I was gonna say, what are the qualifications? And
Okay,
y'all,
yeah.
this is. You can hear me now.
Yes, I can.
Okay, perfect. I was saying, what are the qualifications or prerequisites in order for someone to become a project manager?
So some of the prerequisites definitely would be, your skills, also tools that you use, like project management has like different tools that you can use, Microsoft MS.
Hmm.
Um, you have Azure DevOps, you have ServiceNow, you have to learn how to use Jira. Jira is definitely like a huge, huge part. Understanding the ITIL, ITSM, things of that nature. And
Yeah.
I also think I would provoke you also to look on YouTube to see how some of those tools function as far as creating dashboards to track metrics, and just being able those different tracker elements in those various tools. And then also, I know some people say you must get a PMP, but I
Mm,
over the years have learned that you don't necessarily need all the certifications to be excellent at what you do. You
yeah.
really need to focus on the soft skills. You really need to focus on what are some of the natural what are some of the skills that come more natural to me, and what are some of the ones that I can add to my portfolio as well. And so when you really focus on all of that, then you'll understand that getting a certification, like most of us even got 4-year college degrees that we never even used, you'll see that that's not the top priority. But having a PMP is great. Having an MBA, a 4-year degree in project management is great. But I don't have a 4-year college degree in project management. Contrary to that, I actually studied criminal justice. So,
Mm,
but there's so many different layers to it. So no, don't focus so much on the schooling, but educating yourself on what are some of the things that are needed in the role. And this is not just specific to project management, but all across the board.
nice. That's really good. Really well said. And I think that a lot of people can take nuggets from that. And the reason why I'm actually was taking some time to kind of probe that a little bit, because as people are asking me, like, hey, I want to get into tech. but I'm not really technical, and I'm not really tech sales doesn't really appeal to me. But I am structured, and I feel like I just feel like I can make an impact, and I'm like, this might be actually a path to consider. I actually was talking about this to somebody, I think either yesterday or the day before. So this is a great way to segue into our conversation. But with that being said, let's talk about the things that you are doing that you're passionate about. The creatives of tech. Let's talk about like how did you get into how did you form creatives of tech? How did you get into the networking and event space? Let's talk a little bit more about that.
Awesome. So, Creatives of Tech, we are a community for led by a woman of color, myself, um, and we are a women-led community that I just created off of a branch of Creatives of Texas. And so, the whole premise is to to develop, to make room, to I'm sorry, to develop, to inspire, to make room, and to impact. So that is our mission, pretty much, and that's because there's been such a need for women of color, um, and diversity, in the tech space. You don't see. I know now. I think in 2023, there's so many tech groups and things of that nature. There's more people who are not gatekeepers and giving information, but it wasn't always that way. And honestly, I don't think that we can ever have too many. So that was the reason why I decided to create Creatives of Tech, to encourage women of color to know that, hey, there is a space for you in the tech industry. You don't have to be all the way technical. You could be more on the operational side. And what are some of the transferable skills that can help you to break into tech? What are some of the boot camps that you can take to leverage, and actually get a leeway in into tech as opposed to a 4-year college degree?
Ooh. This is good stuff, y'all. If anybody wants to find out more about the operational side of tech, put a yes in the chat. Put a yes right now in the chat. I want to see people. I want to see how many people are like, yeah. I'm interested in learning more about that. I'm definitely interested in learning more about that because I think we talk about there's so many different areas in tech, and so if we could actually take time to talk about the different areas that people may not be aware of, then they're like, oh man, yeah. Because I think what people are really kind of drawn to is the culture within tech, right? The
Yes.
culture within tech that is different. I'm gonna definitely dive into your event. And while people are putting their yeses in the comments, but can you talk to us in general? You don't have to be company specific if you don't want to. That's perfectly fine. Yeah, I see a yes here. Um, there you go. She's like, yes, I want to find out more about the operational side. If you want to do so, I'm going to actually share her LinkedIn right now. We're going to go to our third screen in a few. But while we do that, can you talk to people who may not know, like what type of tech cultures have you experienced? Because I think it might blow people's mind when they when they actually see it or hear for it, but for themselves.
Oh yeah, the tech culture that I've seen is pretty much glorifying, more so like tech, more so just tech, tech tools and tech skills, instead of really focusing on the different variations. So a lot of people are not so aware that there's the operational and functional side, that is not so heavy on the tools that you're using. And also, I think that a huge part of tech, that I feel like more people who are looking from the inside out need to know more about is networking.
Mm,
And that, that's what I'm here to talk about pretty much. Networking will get you not only in the door, but will help to sustain your career, and
mm,
also give you other opportunities. And one of the things I want people to know is, like, especially for women, do not be afraid. A few days ago, because I started, on LinkedIn, I started the 30 days break into tech,
yep.
the 30 days roadmap to tech. And one of the things that I spoke about, because I've had a lot of people come to me for either mentorship, encouragement, advice here and there, little here and there, by way of creatives of tech. And they'll say, but I'm shy. I'm shy. I'm shy.
Yeah.
And I talked about that. So you'll have to check out the LinkedIn post to see what I talked about. How shyness is not acceptable if you really want to advance your career. But back to that, another thing about the culture that I see is like people really focusing on just working on a day to day in their desk,
Mm,
in the office, or working remotely, but they don't really think about themselves as a brand. Every
yeah.
space that you have access to, you equally have opportunity to network in there,
Mm, yeah.
right? And so when you you're not just there in your company as an employee, you're actually there representing yourself as a brand.
Yeah.
So transferring um looking at tech from a lens of you as a brand, how can I advance myself? And even if it means job hopping,
Mm,
how can I do that to elevate my brand, myself as a brand, as opposed to just focusing on um, the company? Oh, I work for,
yeah.
you know, the big four,
Hmm.
the big tech, the Fortune
Bang,
hundreds and the
bang.
big tech ones.
Yeah. Y- Yeah. No, you were saying like the big four, like Fang, Facebook, Apple, the Fang
Yeah.
companies or the Mang because it's now
A
Meta.
lot of people
Yeah.
focus on, but just like designers, when you're one of my friend, we had a talk about this, and he's also in the tech industry, and he's a program manager, and he was saying that the reason why he's no longer going to put money in the pocket of those designers is because they don't know him. You're adding to someone's
Mm,
empire, but what empire are you building for yourself? And like I said, every role that you fill in a company
yeah.
is an opportunity for you to build yourself and represent yourself as a brand.
Yeah.
So when we really focus on that, then, we will, there'll be a mindset shift.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And with that being said, I think it's a great time to talk into what you were talking about with networking. And let's talk
Yeah.
about what you're building here at uh, Creatives of Tech, and talk about that vision that you have. I'm going to share it. But while I do that, I'm going to put up something that Tiffany said. Tiffany said that this is my current role. I'm a project lead manager, and then she also said right after that wow, that is perfectly said. It's not push enough to not just focus on the education part. So if you guys, we're gonna actually be switching to the Q&A section in a few questions that you have for Ada, or questions that you have for myself. We're gonna be having that Q&A section in a few. So go ahead and put your questions in the chat, whether you're from YouTube, from LinkedIn. Go ahead and put your questions below, because we are going to be addressing that in a few. But with that being said, let's now switch to the. I want to share what I have here for everybody here so they could see it. And I want you to talk a little bit while it's being shared. Can you talk a little bit about why you decided to do this? You mentioned it a little bit, but can you kind of dive into the story why this was created?
Yeah, so the reason why I dived into it is because, there's so many people in tech, they're making six figures, seven figures even, living lavishly, and they are romanticizing being in tech, but they're forgetting about the larger purpose of being able to make impact and being able to help others get in, especially for women of color. So I noticed that there's a huge disparity. And
Mm-hmm.
so naturally, as a problem solver, I'm thinking like, okay, how can I be a part of the solution rather than just talking about it or maybe complaining and venting to my friend about it. So I honestly firmly believe, pun intended, like if you don't see it, create it. So
Yeah.
creatives of tech. So yeah. I know I can be long-winded. That's why I'm like cautious.
Hey, this is the moment. I mean, y'all put your questions in the chat for her. We're gonna go into questions just now. Don't be afraid. But I
And
just want to
some
kind
of
of,
the
yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
and some of the things that we're aspiring to is creating our own events. So
Yeah,
we just started, so we're taking it a day, day by day, and that's the reason why I created this month's 30 days roadmap to tech. And
nice.
when I tell you the impact that it's created, the testimonials, people DMing me and saying how beneficial it is, how they're able to learn from all the guest speakers that have come on my LinkedIn to the LinkedIn audio event to share, is powerful. One of this was so we had Jared, our very first, speaker, and I'm really grateful for people like this who believe in the vision
Yeah.
and see what we're building, including yourself. So when he came on, he spoke about tech sales for 30 minutes. When I say my notes were full, and then another we had another lady who'd been working in tech for 23 years, wealth of knowledge. Actually, not her,
Mm-hmm.
but
Is she on this
if
page
you scroll to the bottom, yes, she is.
right here?
Yes.
Oh, okay, great,
So, yes. So
nice.
we had Boski come on and share, and not only did she just, work in tech and create all that wealth for herself, now she's created a platform that can teach and train and coach others to do
Mm,
what she does. So it's about transferring the knowledge that you have. It's about making the impact. At the end of the day, you have God given resources, talent, skills, and so, how are you able to pour into your community and beyond to bless others with it? And so that's pretty much my motivation on a day to day. And then the cherry on top of the cake is, you know, when I'm able to see people hit me up and say, "Hey, this information is valuable. Like I didn't know that
yeah.
it was XYZ. I didn't think I even stood a chance because I don't have a degree in
Mm-hmm.
in sales engineering." So I'm just grateful for the growth. The growth is because of the people who see the value in it
Yeah.
and are supporting as well.
I love it. I love it. I love and y'all go ahead and follow her. It's at Creatives of Tech on Instagram. So if
Yeah.
Instagram is your place, definitely follow her there. Is it okay for them to follow you on IG? I'm assuming I'm not IG. LinkedIn, is that okay as well?
LinkedIn,
Uh,
yes.
all
Go
right.
ahead and
So
follow me. So it's my name as you see it on LinkedIn. And so, yeah.
yeah, perfect. Because I know that there are going to be some people that are going to have follow up questions for you. They may not feel comfortable necessarily airing out their business on here, but yeah, guys, if you do feel comfortable talking, this is the session for especially women, because Mother in light of Mother's Day being tomorrow, especially women who are trying to break into this space and they're trying to find different ways of doing it. This might be a way for you to actually consider breaking in, which I think is great. Let's actually go back to your page that we have here, your IG, real quickly. I wanted to kind of pop on a couple of things here. Now, can we talk about the job board? Is that like a specific job board that you you just like post things? Like you have a Slack board? Is that what it is?
Yeah, so you can
Go
if you
back
can go
here.
back to that.
Yeah.
So I randomly have people hitting me up in my DMs on LinkedIn. I have a flood of people, like at least maybe 5 to 6 a day, whether
Wow.
it be recruiters, whether it be just professionals, whether it be talent sourcers who share this information with me. And like I said, it does not take more than 5 seconds to screenshot and reshare. And so that's what I'm about. So when they share it to me, whether it comes through my email or my LinkedIn, I immediately share it with my network. I share it in the stories as well
Yeah.
on Instagram. So I think that is very um networking also, a part of the whole networking is just being able to link others, being that link that links others as well. So
Mm,
when I share these things in my stories, only God knows how many people are able to, immediately hit that link and get in there and possibly get a job. So
Yeah.
that's the goal, really.
Yeah. Nice. Well said. And I'm going to actually skip to this part that I like to really hear with the event. So these are events that you were a part of, or that you helped create. Is that correct?
So, Mixer Cloud is an awesome, amazing, amazing event. And it's for tech professionals. Don't want to deal too much on that. And he just started I think 7 months ago.
Yeah.
He just started, and now you have 400 to 500 in one setting of tech professionals networking with each other. So
Mm,
you have the events in Houston and in Dallas. Then Hire Women Week reached out to me. Lady Bird Talent Agency is the agency that created it, and so they had 5 days with great speakers and different professionals, who were able to provide information about how to get into tech and other fields as a woman. And so it's solely for a women's network, um,
mm,
a women's career network, I would
wow.
say. And on the very final day, I just hopped in there. I'm like, okay, let's get in. We had these little chat rooms. You have a bubble, you can see the person's face or the video.
Yeah.
And I was just giving out information. And next thing you see, a lot of women were, gravitating to my bubble to get more information. So I
Wow.
started answering questions, as far as concerns. Like, no question is dumb as far as I don't know. How
Mm,
do I even start? So there was a lot of questions like that. There was a lot of concerns and limitations, and I was able to dispel any fears or myths that they had, and also sent them to my LinkedIn. And that was what really inspired me to take it further to create the 30 days roadmap to tech.
beautiful. Beautiful. I see questions rolling in, so I'm actually going to take the
Sure.
time to switch right now to the Q&A portion of this because I want to give the people what they want, and they want to talk to you. Uh, so I do see a question. I'm gonna let you answer this one first. And before I do, Tiffany, she said yes to, like, I guess it's everything you said. She's like yes. And so let me go to the first question that I have, and that's from April. She has a question, and I'm gonna have you speak to first to this. Do you see any older women getting into tech? And we have to define. I guess I'm trying to figure out what older would be. I want to, I want to be on the safe side, so I'll let you answer that first.
Okay. So you mean seasoned women?
Yeah, I like to say sprinkled with
I
some salt
think
and
that
pepper.
age is a thing of the mind, really.
Mm,
But if you're being logical, if you're like in your middle aged, yes, it's never too late. I mean, there's people who are getting their high school diplomas in their 60s. There's those viral stories. So the only thing stopping you is you, pretty much. So if you believe that you have the skill sets all these years and you never knew, now that you know, make a move. Make a move and get in. Take one of those boot camps, and network. Reach out to people. Uh never be scared to go for what you want, and closed mouths never get fed. So
mm,
if you really want it that bad, and if you want to make a pivot, you're never too old to pivot.
yeah, yeah. I think I agree with you because I actually was able to have a student of mine. I won't say her name, but I had a student of mine who was leaving a certain the medical field and was transitioning into tech sales, and it was a huge transition for them, and so I
Mm.
had to take the time out. And I told him, I'm like, I'm not charging you for nothing. We're gonna get my for me to get you into this industry and help you. That's my reward. And she went through, through many to coaching sessions, through many tears that was shed on both sides. She was able to land a job, and she would be considered quote unquote a middle aged or seasoned, as we like to say, a
Wow.
seasoned woman. And so it shows that it's not impossible. You just have to have that strong why behind it. And you
Yes.
have to understand that you're coming to the plate with a lot of experience, life experience, transferable skills, as was mentioned earlier, right? And
Yes.
so so look at it as I'm going to show them how impactful I can be.
Yes.
And they have they're either going to say yes and realize the value, or it's going to be no, and they're gonna lose out on you. But you are the prize. Look at yourself as the prize, and I believe it will work out as you do what Ada said to do, earlier. Good stuff. I actually see. Oh, I actually see. Tiffany responded with something I think was really good. I also feel that a huge problem for women of color is the constant rejection. Maybe,
Hmm.
maybe that is due to unknown bits. Your seminar is very knowledgeable, and I really hope many take the time to view your page. I know I will. Could you talk about this, Ada, about the rejection that women of color may feel in general or in this industry?
Yes. So, I think it was on Thursday when I had a brand messaging consultant expert that has been in the game for over 10 years come on the audio event on LinkedIn, and one thing she said was sometimes childhood traumas that we internalize are now become grow into blockers in our adulthood and ultimately affects our career, the way we view our careers and even advancement. So I would say the same thing along those lines. You know, if you the way you see rejection is what's going to either help you move forward,
Hmm.
dust off the dirt and keep walking to the next opportunity, or just sit in there and sulk. So I think that it's really powerful when we take ownership of whatever it is that we're looking to achieve, whether it be career or getting into tech, pivoting, whatever it may be at all, taking ownership and seeing like the areas that you can move forward in spite of blockers. One of the things
Hmm.
that has really helped me just in life in general is understanding that I can only focus on what I can control. If they say no, that's not because I'm less valuable. That's because I'm valuable, but they haven't seen it. Or perhaps I
Hmm.
don't even fit into their company culture. And so I keep walking. So, um, and also a huge part of just being able to dust off your, I guess, dust off the dirt that is thrown on you is just remembering your why. Why am I doing this? Am I doing this for myself to grow and for others to impact others? Or am I doing this just to make the money and the notoriety and to say that I'm a tech influencer or something like that? I don't know. So we really need to preview our why. And I also wanted to add to that to say the reason why you may feel like you're not relevant in any space that you are is because you haven't taken ownership. So when you fully come into yourself and occupy that environment, like even if it's maybe at a call center that you're working at right now and you've already envisioned breaking into tech and making multiple six figures, something like that, right? Take ownership of that customer call center that you're working at right now that is making you $12 an hour. Take ownership of that environment, advance yourself, study on your off hours, find information that is going to improve and boost that vision with that is already grown in you. And then ultimately that's going to set you up to step into that new pivot.
Yeah, and Ada, she's speaking to the congregation at large, right? To everybody that's listening in. That was not just for Tiffany, obviously. That was for everybody. So if you find yourself in that place where she says own where you're at and really try to excel, and you'll be there where you want to be eventually. I'm gonna go back to April real quickly. She said thank you. I just thought about something because you did put your age in the chat. I'm not gonna put your age out there, but you did put your age in the chat, and my wife is the same age. and she is now pivoting into being a licensed mental health counselor. Like she's doing her internship now. So I don't want you to feel like it's too late. She's making a career change, a career move. She's changing careers literally at the same age that you are. So you can do it. You can do it. You
Yes, you
can do
can.
it. Yeah.
I applaud you for also being vulnerable and, stepping up and speaking about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm not gonna take too much of Ada's time. She's very busy. She actually was able to grace us this morning with her presence, so I'm not gonna take too much. I'm gonna have time for about one or two more questions, maybe three. So I would encourage you if you have questions to put it right now while the time is there while while she's with us. But yeah, no, I think that was a really good point to make. You know, the we experience rejection on so many levels from the moment we're born to to the moment that we die. But
Mhm.
I love what you said is that sometimes people do not. It's not that you don't have value; it's just that they don't see the value, and we forget that a lot. We forget that a lot. All right, so I'm just waiting for the questions to come
So
in.
don't take it personal.
Hmm.
Don't take it personal. I
Yeah.
can also, just while we're waiting on the questions, I can also share, um, you know, 5 ways that you can network yourself.
Oh.
And I think I previously mentioned you can network at your job, your current employment that you hold right now. You can network that way. Just find a few trusted people who care about you or like have your best interest at hand. So you can network that way. Um, then another way you can network on social media. So using Instagram, number two, is a way to network. You can create a vision board. You can create a vision board page account, right? And just document. Let it be. It could be your diary. I think I recently heard about a guy also that used TikTok. He used TikTok to get to the heart of the employers, and bam, that was how he landed himself in Microsoft, by
Mm,
using TikTok to brand himself. And now he's not just working in tech now, but also getting brand deals as a content creator. So he's diversifying his streams of income. LinkedIn is powerful. You don't even
mm,
need to leave your house to network these days. So use LinkedIn, milk that thing, you know, create a profile that stands out, brand yourself, not just the company that you're working at. And also find out the different boot camps. Go ahead and follow them. Find out the different key stakeholders, the
mm.
stakeholders in the tech industry. Follow them and find out valuable information on their pages as well. I know Tech is a New Black is like a very great podcast, just like this
Mhm.
podcast. Even
Cyrus Arvin,
now,
yep.
as we're speaking, if you found this, you're on the right track. I think I mentioned LinkedIn, I mentioned Instagram, I mentioned TikTok,
Mhm.
Eventbrite. So find out tech networking events in your area
Yep.
and go to them. Pay that $20, $30 and get get you in the room. Get in the room, give yourself that opportunity. And then fourth one was Meetup. I believe Meetup. I just
Mhm.
joined Meetup, and so because I'm going to be creating events, um, I want to be on Meetup. I want to be on Eventbrite so that I can create special events. And if you are looking to attend such events, go on Meetup, and you'll find those groups.
Yeah, I've heard amazing things about networking, not just through LinkedIn, but like meeting up, do event either through Eventbrite or Meetup. Like I've heard great things about it. Can you kind of paint a picture? And this is my question while we're waiting for a question. But can you kind of paint a picture of how powerful attending a tech networking event can be, a mixer or whatever? How powerful it can be, how life changing it could be? Could you give like an example of that?
Yes. So, wow. Whew, good question, first of all. The power of networking at like meeting people in person
Yeah.
is that first of all they get to see your personality, so
Mm.
please have you a personality, show up as yourself,
Yeah.
right? Show up as yourself, be personable, right? Walk up to them, to the recruiters if they have those recruiter stands, go
Hmm.
up to them, throw in a joke, be personable, be friendly. Let them know you beyond just your skills. Oh, by the way, I have blah 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 number of years of experience. Yes, that's great. There's tons of other people, but there's something that makes you dynamic. And so that is your power right there when you walk into a physical networking event.
Yeah.
Another thing about networking events is that you can also be a part of the team. Like I volunteered at the Mixed Cloud and I was able to I barely even got a chance to um
Sit.
be in the actual room because I was
Mm.
walking around, making sure people were cool, talking about also creatives of tech. And just from that, I was able to get mentees, mentors, everything. So just that dialogue. And I think another one is also if you are a content creator too, you can share your social media and they can reach out to you. But number one, like key thing is you're able to add those connections on your LinkedIn by being able to physically network and getting in the room and seeing those people.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's good. I put volunteer at networking events, gem,
Yes.
because like if you think about it, most of the times when you're volunteering, you have the opportunity to meet a lot more people, because you have to do different things, and then they see your work ethic. It's like you're auditioning, and
Yes.
so they're like, okay, I know Ada, she kills it at X, Y, and Z. I'm calling her for the next thing. In fact, I heard about this opportunity for Ada. You know what? I'm gonna tell about this event, this thing that they want her for. They're gonna fly her out, pay her this, da da da, because she was able to show up and show out. And so you want to bring your best self. I always tell this to my students: you want to be curious, consistent, and confident. And that's
Yes.
a great way to show that when you're in spaces like that. So I
So
think
you
I,
create the opportunities essentially for
Mhm.
yourself. You create those opportunities for yourself. And I guess maybe I could share this testimonial. I had a lady from the Higher Women Week reach out to me on Instagram, and then she said, "Hey, I'm going to this networking event." I'm like, "Hey, I'm actually volunteering at that event. Let's meet up." And so right away it was like a hug, it felt like I'd known her. And subsequently that led to um, just being able to get a recommendation on LinkedIn,
Wow.
stuff like that is super key. So don't maximize it. Don't underestimate the value of getting in the room.
Getting in the room. Don't minimize the value of
Yes.
getting in the room. I'm gonna throw this comment from Tiffany here, and I think we can wrap it up after this. But she says, yes, those words need to be heard. And she's talking about the words that you said regarding rejection earlier. I've had so much rejection and had to take a minute and inform myself that I am valuable and I know
Yes.
my worth. This has
Yes.
landed me in the position that I am today. And she said earlier, she's a project lead manager. We need to focus on our brand, like you said, which is ourselves. Drop the mic, Tiffany. Drop the mic.
Poof. You have the
Boom.
sound effects.
I need to get that or something. Like I need to get I need to get something for like moments like that. But Tiffany
Yes.
is so right. Like, we've all experienced imposter syndrome. We've all experienced rejection. We've all experienced these negative emotions that can affect us. But we have to remind ourselves that it's not that we're not valuable, just that they have not seen our value yet. And with that being said, I'm going to just put up here real quickly this uh, your LinkedIn again. I want people to see it, right? I want people to connect with you, especially women who are looking to break
Yes.
into tech. You see it right here. Go ahead. The link is in the description on all on whether it's Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube. Her LinkedIn information is there. Click
Yeah.
on it, send her a friend's request. She actually wants to help you break it down. She wants to make a difference, especially
Yes,
if you're,
this
yeah,
year has really been a year where I've set out to say, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take it upon myself because I see too many people saying, what the benefits, the glories about being in tech, but they never share the story or how to even get there.
mm,
So, if I may even say, like, I just want to thank all the people who've believed in me up until this season of my journey. I want to thank those people who believed in me when, I wanted to give up on myself
yeah,
and when I didn't feel like okay, like you have a vision, you're like, okay, let me create this community, but you're like, okay, how am I gonna get people to co-sign to this? But now just looking at how I've been able to start and garner a lot of support, I want to thank those people who have supported me from day one or who are supporting me starting today. So yeah, and it really does mean a lot to me.
absolutely. Let's support our sister Ada because she has some stuff down that's coming down the pipe, and we want to be able to support one another. We absolutely do. So, with that being said, family, we're going to conclude right here. Thank you to everybody that was watching and stayed on. We appreciate you sincerely. And like I always say, family, until next time, I hope to see you on the other side. Take care.